Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my picks and analysis for the games of Week 14 of the 2018 NFL season. So anyway, well, first up, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tennessee has actually been a formidable home team this season, 4-1 at home. And they're also, looking at them, they're one of the better scoring defenses in the NFL, and they have dominated the series in recent time over the Jaguars, winning 5 of the last 6. Number 5 in passing yards allowed per game. I think what's an interesting stat in this game, though, is that you have the number 1 team in terms of yards allowed on kickoff returns going up against the team that is 32nd in the NFL in yards allowed on kickoff returns. Jacksonville Jaguars are number 1, only giving up 17.2 yards per kickoff return, and then the Titans are giving up almost double that amount. So looking at them, I don't think that's going to make that much difference in this game, given the fact that Jacksonville has just looked so poor and abysmal lately. They've lost 7 of their last 8. That last game, they only had 6 points in that one. They just have 1 touchdown in the last 5 quarters. Short week on the road. Kind of hard to go against the home team, especially after what happened with New Orleans going to Dallas last week. I mean, you figure you could have an outcome like that. Tennessee shouldn't have much of a problem in this game. I like Tennessee at home against the Jaguars. Anyway, next game. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills at home to defeat the New York Jets. Buffalo, just mediocre 2-3 at home, but they are playing better than the Jets, I believe. I mean, you have Buffalo right now. They've almost surreptitiously become the number 1 pass defense in the NFL. They're number 1 in passing yards allowed per game right now. And right now also, I mean, they gained, I think, over 400 total yards on offense last week, but they still found a way to lose the game. The Jets just 0-4 in their division, and Jets are deplorable, 2-12 on the road since 2017. And during this their losing streak, they just can't really put up too many points. The offense did look a little bit better last week against the Titans. It showed little signs of life, but they're still, I think, going to find some way to lose this. I hate to say this being a Jets fan, but I think they're going to lose their 7th straight this week. I like Buffalo at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns at home over the Carolina Panthers. It's hard to believe I'm actually predicting the Browns to win a game, but they're definitely much improved. They're number 2 in takeaways right now in the NFL with 27, plus 10 in turnover differential, and they're actually very good 3-2-1 at home this season. Carolina has been floundering. I mean, they have lost 4 straight games. They had 4 interceptions last week. They're just 1-5 on the road, and tight end Greg Olsen is going to be out, and Cam Newton does have a sore shoulder right now. I don't think it's going to impact on whether he plays or not, but I mean, he may not be 100% in this game, and it sounds like a real easy pick to pick the Carolina Panthers to win this, but considering Carolina has had their struggles, and especially on the road, losing, and they've lost 4 straight. Cleveland right now, I mean, they're kind of an up and down team, but they are a team that can still win this game. I think it's very conceivable. I'm going to take the Browns to win this one at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers to win this one at home over the Atlanta Falcons. And as many of you may know, McCarthy is out as the coach of Green Bay. Green Bay has lost 5 of 6. And I mean, that was definitely, I guess, the breaking point last week when they lost at home to Arizona, of all teams, losing to one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, that was very demoralizing. I understand why that went down with McCarthy. There are obviously some cohesion issues with Rodgers and McCarthy. You have the Atlanta Falcons. They've lost 4 straight games. Who would have thought that Atlanta would be a team that would have lost 4 consecutive at any point this season? They're averaging just 17 points per game in that streak. Last week, just 131 total offensive yards. And I mean, Atlanta right now, Matt Ryan is on pace to get sacked of the most, I believe, in his career ever at this point. The offensive line is not giving him the protection he needs. Julio Jones may be putting up a lot of yards and receiving, but he doesn't have many touchdowns, I don't believe, right now. And I mean, it's definitely, as far as that goes, he is underachieved. But that being said, I see Green Bay. I mean, at some point they're going to have to redeem themselves, and I think it's going to start next week. And I think with the new coach, perhaps they'll be going in the right direction, and Rodgers and this coach will hopefully be on the same page. So I'm taking Green Bay to win this one at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs at home to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. Kansas City is a flawless 5-0 at home this season. They are number one right now in scoring offense, about 37 points per game. They have won 8 consecutive regular season home games dating back to last season. Now you look at Baltimore. Well, again, that ravenous defense, perhaps it is back. They are number one scoring defense in the NFL right now. They're giving up under 18 points per game. And one of the better teams in the NFL in terms of time of possession. They can make this game competitive and close. They can dominate time of possession, run the ball well, and contain the Kansas City Chiefs offense. They'll have a shot to win it. But Kansas City, I think their offense is just, I mean, it's been so hard to stop, and it doesn't really make much difference how good the defense is of a team. I think Kansas City is going to find some kind of hole on Baltimore's defense and exploit it. Baltimore's defense may be good enough to contain the Chiefs, but they won't be able to stop it completely as far as the Chiefs offense goes. I do like Kansas City to win this one at home. Next game. Well, this has been a toss-up for me. I mean, I'm reluctantly going to take the Patriots on the road to beat Miami. I think it's going to be a very close game, actually. New England, I mean, has had trouble going into Miami in recent time and winning. New England has lost 4 of their last 5 games at Miami, just 3-3 on the road this season. But New England, I mean, given that this is December, this is their time of the year where they're generally going to flourish. I think New England, hopefully for them, they've learned their lesson after what happened to them last season at Miami. And also, you know, they lost when they went to Jacksonville earlier this season, another Florida team. So, I mean, I would not be shocked if the Dolphins pull this one out. I'm going to take the Patriots. Now, the Dolphins, 5-1 at home this season in 2018. 19 defensive interceptions. They're one of the leaders in the NFL in team defensive interceptions, and Xavier Howard leading the way with 7 of them right now. This team, Miami, certainly is a team to be reckoned with at home. They've played very well in their home stadium, and they have had certain success against New England there in recent time, but I'm still going to take New England right now. A little better quarterback with him over Tannehill, Brady over 10. I think they're going to just get this job done barely, the Patriots, but I do believe they pull this out. I like the Patriots on the road to win this. Next game. I'm going to take New Orleans Saints on the road to defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, New Orleans, I think last week was just an aberration, losing to the Dallas Cowboys. They've only thrown 3 interceptions this season. They have not lost. I mean, it's been some time since the Saints have lost 2 consecutive games. They're going to be seeking retribution against Tampa Bay in this one. They did lose on that game 1 of the season, like 48-40 to Tampa Bay. I think that was an aberration. I don't think they're going to lose to them again. Now, Tampa Bay is on a little bit of a roll. They've won 2 in a row. They are number 1 in total offense, but they just turn the ball over so frequently. And for me, I think it's just going to be really strongly about that turnover battle. And I do believe that the Saints are going to have their way in terms of marching down the field offensively. And I think, the Tampa Bay defense is not exactly stellar. I think the Saints are going to have their way on offense, and I do like them to win this game. Next game. Well, this is another one I've been debating back and forth on. Well, Washington's going to be at home against the New York Giants. Well, I'm going to take Washington to win this one at home. I know there's no Alex Smith at quarterback, and they have lost like 4 of their last 5. But Adrian Peterson, has been playing well. Their running back, and the Giants. Can I really trust them to win 4 out of 5 games? They've won 3 out of 4 right now. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. I'm back. Anyway. They've won 3 out of 4. They've been on a little bit of a roll. They would have actually had 4 consecutive wins, but they lost a tight one at Philadelphia. See, the Giants right now are just number 24 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. I think the key in this game is going to be the running game with Adrian Peterson. I think he's going to get enough yards. I could see him getting at least 100 yards rushing in this one and dictate the tempo, kind of control that time of possession, dominate time of possession. I do see Washington getting this one. The Giants, though, have improved. They have been playing very well in recent weeks. And the Giants right now, they are a team, that is definitely, they're a little bit on the rise. They look like they may finish this season strong. But I think right now with the Redskins, they know they still have some kind of playoff hopes alive. There's a little more incentive there as opposed to the Giants. The Giants, they could win out, and they're not. It would be very hard pressed for them to make the playoffs. If they won out, they'd be like 8-8. So I'm going to take the Redskins in this one. Now the next game. Well, I'm going to take the Houston Texans to win at home over the Indianapolis Colts. Houston, of course, has won 9 consecutive games. They have been on a rampage. You have J.J. Watt, one of the best defenders in the NFL. Running back Lamar Miller, very unheralded. You don't really hear a lot of talk about him, but he's averaging 5 yards per carry. He is a player that, is become very quietly one of the best running backs in the NFL. And in the last 8 games, Houston has only allowed about 18 points per game. Their defense has been tremendous during that stretch. They might even be averaging less than that. It's between 16 and 18 points per game, somewhere in that general interval in terms of what they're allowing in terms of the defense over that 8-game stretch. Now, Indianapolis. They lost, last game, losing to the Jaguars and not putting up any points, that was that was bewildering to say the least. That would be a vast understatement. And the Colts only have 1 touchdown in the last 6 quarters. As most of you know, they lost to Houston previously this season. Now, Indy right now, their run defense, number 12 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. They may be able to contain Lamar Miller, but it's not going to be enough. I think there's just going to be too much firepower with Houston. They are just on a roll right now. I don't see Indianapolis derailing them at this point in time. I see Houston. Houston might actually just win out the season. I would not be shocked if they did that, and I don't think Indy's going to stop them from potentially doing that. I like Houston at home. Now, the next game, I'm going to take the Chargers at home to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chargers right now, I don't know what the status of running back Melvin Gordon is, but they have won 8 of 9 games, and they won last week without Melvin Gordon, so I don't think it's going to make that much difference. You look at quarterback Philip Rivers, you talk about a model of consistency. 2 touchdown passes and at least two TD passes and 200 yards passing in all 12 regular season games this season. Phil Rivers is, definitely, in my mind, a prototypical quarterback in every sense. He's a great player, person, very expansive and upbeat personality. He never really seems to get too down, no matter how whether his team is playing poorly or not. He is just somebody that goes through adversity and he just deals with it. He doesn't make excuses. And in this defeating the Steelers was definitely a very good win for this team. They're going up against right now a very lackluster Cincinnati Bengals team that has lost 4 in a row. And Cincinnati looked at one time like they might challenge the Steelers for the division title. And it's funny how things could just change so drastically and so quickly in this league. The Bengals, In that 4-game losing streak, they've been outscored 134 to 65, and it looks like a wide receiver AJ Green, last I checked, his status is questionable. I think it's going to be very difficult for Cincinnati to go into LA and defeat the Chargers and do this on the road especially. I like the Chargers at home. Next game. I want to take the Denver Broncos on the road to defeat the San Francisco 49ers. Denver is on a little bit of a roll. They've won 3 consecutive games. They've allowed only about 16 points per game in that streak. Von Miller and the defense they've definitely stepped up during this time. San Francisco right now, they're one of the worst teams in turnover differential. They also have 0 wins versus all teams they've played that are currently at 500 or better. Denver is 500 with a 6-6 record. It just seems to me right now that the 49ers just can't get out of their own way. They were annihilated last week by Seattle. Now Denver coming into town, San Francisco being at home, they do have some shots. San Francisco can run the ball adequately anyway. But I do like Denver to win, even if it is a close game. I'm going to take Denver to win on the road. Next game. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys to win at home over the Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas right now, they have looked very impressive. They've won 4 consecutive games. They defeated what will appear to be the best team in the NFL going in to last week's action, the New Orleans Saints. Dallas right now is number 2 in scoring defense, giving up 18.6 points per game. Running back Ezekiel Elliott, he has been on a roll. He has played very well during this streak. And you look at this team right now, and they've had 10 days rest. Again, very dominant home team, 5-1 at home. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, okay, I know they've won 2 straight, and there's some people, it seems like I've been listening on ESPN, they seem to be on this Eagles bandwagon because they got these 2 wins in a row. But, for me, that's not enough for me to think, oh, they're going to win the division. Seeing is believing. I think Dallas still can win this by default. The thing about the Eagles, too, is that their defense is still not up the way it was last season. The Eagles are -8 in turnover differential, but then just 2-3 on the road this season. They are number 1 in time of possession, and that their only chances to control and dominate this clock. That's really, and just play keep away from Dallas. I don't know if they're going to be able. That's going to be enough. I think Dallas right now is just the way their defense is playing, especially. I think it's going to be enough to neutralize that Philadelphia Eagles offense, and I do like Dallas to continue their winning streak and win this one at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win on the road against the Oakland Raiders. Pittsburgh has dropped 2 in a row. They have not looked really that good. Chargers came back against them last week and won, but going to Oakland is going to be a different story. Pittsburgh right now, number 2 in passing yards per game, and Ben Roethlisberger, I would say really in stealth-like fashion, has become the number 1 in the NFL in terms of passing yards. Steelers are 11-2-1 on the road since 2017, and they have lost their last 2. James Conner is not going to play in this game. This could impact the outcome to some degree. I think it might make this game a little bit closer than a lot of people think. But it's been some time since the Steelers have lost 3 consecutive games. Oakland right now, they're giving up almost 31 points per game, only 10 defensive sacks, while the Steelers are right near the top of the NFL in sacks. Now, Oakland's only averaging about 18 points per game, and they're number 14 in passing yards allowed per game. The one thing that might scare the Steelers, I don't think it's going to put them in a great state of trepidation or anything, but the Oakland did score 33 last week, but that was against the Chiefs, against a team that has a very poor defense. I think Pittsburgh's defense is a little bit better. I do like the Steelers to win on the road. Next game. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions on the road to defeat the Arizona Cardinals. Detroit right now, The main difference is they have the better quarterback, a little better offense. Detroit is averaging about 21 points per game, while Arizona is just averaging about 14.5 per game. Now, for Detroit, running back Kerryon Johnson, last I checked, his status was questionable. You look at them too, in that Detroit, their rushing yards per game is only 25th in the NFL, but Arizona is near the bottom of the barrel, number 29 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. I think the Detroit Lions are going to get the running game going just enough against Arizona to win this game. Interestingly enough, the Cardinals are number 1 in tackles in the NFL. They might be doing a lot of it in this game. They've also allowed 17 rushing touchdowns. So I like Detroit to win this one on the road. Hold on again, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. Well, next game, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears to win on the road against the LA Rams. Chicago right now, I mean, they are number 4 in scoring defense. I know a lot of people like the Rams or this enticing pick. I know they just have 1 loss this season. But Chicago, I mean, they did lose last week. I think they're going to rebound in this one, being at home. They are 5-1 at home and plus 12 in turnover differential and number 2 in rushing yards allowed per game. I do think they're actually going to contain Todd Gurley in this one, just enough to win this game. Rams, though, very impressive on the road, 5-1 this season. Aaron Donald certainly could be a viable MVP candidate. He's leading the NFL with 16.5 sacks. The Rams, though, I think what's going to happen, I think the defense on the Bears, I mean, Bears have 21 interceptions, leading the NFL. And again, they're number 2 in their run defense in terms of rushing yards allowed per game. It's in their scoring defense is very good. They're good at the defense is going to be good enough to contain the Rams offense in this one, and having to go on the road into Chicago, into a little, as far as the environment with the temperature, I'm sure it's going to be a lot colder there. I think this is very auspicious for the Bears to get this one. And they are really, I mean, looking at this team as well, they're also right up there in terms of takeaways. The Bears, I like the Bears to win in a close one, so I'm taking Chicago at home. Last but not least, I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks to win at home over the Minnesota Vikings. You know, the funny thing is, I mean, you hear a lot of talk about Minnesota with their offense with Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. But, you know, Seattle is actually averaging more points per game than Minnesota. Seattle is averaging 26.6 points per game. Minnesota 22.9. It's over 3 more points per game, almost 4 more points per game than Minnesota. Seattle's number 9 in scoring defense. And even with this revamped D, Seattle's defense has not been terrible. I mean, Bobby Wagner, perhaps leading the way, is still very consistent. I think one of the better defensive players in the NFL. And Minnesota's offense has been rather sporadic, and their defense has not been up to par. A thing that could be to Minnesota's detriment, too, is that they have, I mean, their strong propensity to throw the ball. And why would that be to the detriment? Well, the thing about it is they can be effective in certain games. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kirk Cousins, I see him as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think what part of the problem is, they throw the ball about 66% of the time, and I think what happens is the defenses are able to anticipate that. They know that Minnesota's going to throw an awful lot more than most of the other teams on average in the NFL, so they know kind of how to formulate their defense in order to at least contain Minnesota to some degree. Because they are anticipating the pass a lot. Minnesota really is just not effective running the ball, and they don't run it very often. And I think Seattle's going to be using that to their advantage in this game, because Seattle's defense is good enough, I think, to counter Minnesota's offense. So I am going to take the Seattle Seahawks to get this one done at home. So anyway, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my Week 14 picks and analysis of the 2018 NFL season. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.